Welcome to the first ENS technical workshop, and thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate it. I'm Nick Johnson, as you undoubtedly know. If you're going to tweet about it, #ENS workshop, or let us find them all. I thought before we go into any details and so forth, it would help to go around the room and if everybody can give a one-sentence description of what their name is, who they are, and maybe what they hope to get from the workshop. That would be great. I'll start. I'm Nick Johnson, developer for the Ethereum Foundation, lead on ENS, and I ambitiously hope to get enough sorted that we can start planning a permanent registrar for ENS by the end of the weekend, which should be cool.
Hi, I'm Makoto. I created a tab called block party, so like something like this. If people decide to come, you bet the deposit. If you don't come, you lose. If you come, you share the deposit. So that's what I do. And also, I organize a non-Ethereum code up where like developer gathers and they just talk about code. And yeah, I don't use ENS much apart from I have a couple domains. So like today, I'd like to learn a lot, and if there's anything I can help. Yeah.
My name is Seki from Tokyo, and I have been working for IBM only for technology, technical and business both side, and now I'm working for myself on my startup companies. And I'm now working on several projects, including my Ethereum wallet, Japanese translation with Talor and Kevin. And I hope the Ethereum name will match handy for language, Japanese or Chinese language, which utilize many characters. And I hope good advancement on this workshop for the direction. Thank you.
My name is Dan Finlay. I work on Metamask. I did our ENS integration, and I think, like Nick, I'm just looking forward to seeing where ENS is headed from here.
My name is Virgil. I work for the Foundation. I'm spending most of my time thinking about how to make ENS integrate with ICANN.
Yeah, my name is Jared. I work on Status, mobile Ethereum client. We're looking to resolve ENS names and also use ENS for usernames. I like to sort of get clarity or some basic specification how we should best resolve this honorific sort of names.
Hi, my name is Yudi. I'm from Tel Aviv. I'm the CTO of LocalCoin, the software company behind Bank Protocol. We obviously use ENS, and generally it's very interesting to me to see where ENS is headed, and also since we're so heavily invested in the platform, I think ENS is one of the biggest app, if not one of the biggest apps we have today, if not the biggest one. And just I want to see where it's headed, and I also want to meet you guys. That's it.
Dave, I'm from, I live in Acapulco, I'm from Indianapolis. I bid on a number of ENS names, and I don't really have any special expertise or credentials, but I just wanted to meet everybody and get involved in some capacity and learn as much as possible.
My name is Dick Olson. I work for Pfizer Pharmaceuticals here in London. Digital engineer, everything digital web. Here to see how we can contribute to an important piece of infrastructure.
My name is Dan Olson. I work for Consensus, and I'm currently reviving an alternative contract language, which was used to re-implement next Solidity version of the registry in LLL. And I'm looking to meet everyone and see where everything's going.
I'm Jim McDonald. I've been involved in around cryptocurrencies for quite a while now. I've been involved in technology, generally speaking, and most importantly, technology infrastructure for 20 odd years. So I've been around when DNS was starting up and sort of stuff like that. Main focus for me is looking at how ENS can be basically productionized, turned into a system that everyone can use, that is friendly and easy to use, and ideally, my sort of idea is that addresses should go away. We should stop using hex streams. So obviously that's what ENS is there for, and that's the big thing, but it's very rarely used in reality today. You look at people doing ICOs, and people don't like the idea of using ENS because they're worried about things like homograph attacks, and people are just unsure about it in general. So yeah, it's really seeing how we can move ENS to a state where it becomes as common as the main names are today.
Hi, my name is Vlad Chalipo. I run Crypto Compare, and I co-founded it. And I'm here to see, similar to Jared, when we can use ENS for our 200,000 registered users and how to give them ENS access, enable it for them, and help push ENS in mass production direction.
I'm Floris. I'm here with Mark. We're from the Netherlands, and I'm here to learn more about ENS. I'm a psychologist, but interested in Ethereum part-time.
I'm Mark. I'm also from Groningen. I'm an investor in Ethereum, and also together we have a lot of ENS names. And I'm now building a company on holding these names. And I'm hoping to learn a lot about ENS and to contribute. So hopefully ENS becomes success.
Hi, my name is Mark Jeftovic from Toronto, and I'm a legacy DNS guy. ICANN registrar. I founded easydns.com. And I have a bit of governance experience. I was on the CIRA board of directors for a few years, which oversees the .ca namespace. And I have a book in the works, which has been going on for years, which is going to be on O'Reilly. It's coming out on No Starch now about the domain system, DNS policy, and how it interacts with DNS operations. I mentioned Namecoin and Ethereum in small sections, but might be a bigger section by the time the book finally gets out. But so I'm really interested on how the legacy DNS system is going to intersect with blockchain. I'm really excited about blockchain, and I might be the token guy from the legacy DNS world here today. So a few people want to say, when you get back, let's have lunch and talk about this. Tell us what you find out. So.
I'm Tom Kaiser. I work with Augur. Here, primarily, we're interested in the soft launch of course modem as we're approaching our launch as well, and how we can contribute and support and leverage ENS with Augur and soft as well.
Hi, I'm Vlad. I work on consensus protocols and mechanism design. With respect to ENS, I have a few goals, mostly around getting rid of and preventing potential for abuse, and also around fairness. And we haven't gotten to this the back bench.
Hi everybody, I'm E.G. Galano, based in LA. Working with Consensus on the Infera project. If you register the domain through the main ENS registrar site, you probably indirectly use Infera through Metamask. I'm here because we want to learn more about the ENS roadmap and how we can potentially help support it with community adoption.
Hi guys, I'm Patrick Victoria and I work in UCL. I'm mostly interested in the option protocol and the matrix actually with the security ones.
Hey guys, I'm Taylor. I run my Ether wallet, and we have a lot to say about the ENS, I guess.
I'm Kevin, also from my wallet. And I actually almost don't use ETH addresses anymore at all. I also use ETH other names. That means my personal address has a resolver. My personal addresses all have resolvers. And now, like, enough people are implementing them look like a different construct. So almost don't have to use ETH addresses anymore, which is awesome.
Daniel, also Ether wallet, helping build a more maintainable view.
Cool, thank you very much. Let's see. First, a few notes that everybody either already knows or doesn't want to listen to, I guess. But seriously though, actually, thank you very much to our sponsors, Status, who are here. Sorry. We have Status to thank for Chris Remus, who is still fighting his way through immigration at the moment at Heathrow, being able to make it to this workshop. Yeah, thanks, Chris, wherever you are. Aragon, who have kindly agreed to cover the catering for the event. Bancourt, sorry, I knew 100% I would screw this up. Bancourt, who are handling the catering for the event. Aragon, who are paying for tonight's social event at the brew pub nearby. And Crypto Compare, who are organising a dinner for us all tomorrow evening at a fantastic Greek restaurant. So thank you to all of them for the responsibility. So I thought I would start by giving a short overview of how ENS is, how the soft launch went, and sort of what we can learn from it. As of the end of July 2017, we had 180,000 names auctioned, and you can see the progression of them over time here. The blue line is bids, the red line is auctions that were finalised, and the green line is auctions that were started. Some small proportion of users started auctions and bid on them and revealed the bids, but haven't got around to finalising.
Sorry, green line?
I'm colourblind. What colour is it?
It's blue.
No, below the blue line.
There's orange and red.
Orange, thank you, the orange line. Surprisingly, the end of the soft launch period comes about here, not here where you might suspect. So interpretations for the sudden drop-off around the 15th to 16th of the month are welcome. Second all, 168,000 Ether have been deposited against names. These are deposits that are locked up for at least a year. Here we can see the deposits over time. The blue line, I'm pretty sure it's blue, represents Ether deposited per day, and the probably orange area represents the sum total of Ether deposited so far. The end of the soft launch period is unsurprisingly here, so the first interesting result that we haven't presented anywhere else yet is the quite significant drop-off in Ether deposited post-soft launch, which I predicted but wasn't sure about because generally a lot of the contentious names have been fought out during the soft launch period as soon as they became available. And since then, although, as you can see, the actual number of names auctioned stayed reasonably high for a while, the actual amount being deposited was decreased almost immediately. Mostly out of interest, a few of the largest bids and the most expensive names. The largest bids largely went for recognisable names, a lot of them being trademarks or popular gambling-related names. We're not sure about this one actually. It was a bid for 184,000 Ether, but the name is not in the name hash pre-image dictionary, and it's not something obvious like consensus. The most expensive names were about an order of magnitude smaller than the bids, but still some of them quite significant in the millions of dollars locked up territory. And interestingly, pretty much all of them are generic names. None of the trademark names ended up going for quite such high prices.
Are the trademark names like by the trademark holders or is it mainly
So
suppliers?
it's difficult to say broadly. Consensus, for instance, that enormous bid was by Consensus. They really wanted to make sure they got their name. Undoubtedly, there are a lot of squatted trademarks, but it's difficult to do a systematic assessment because you don't know who registers them.
But definitely, by looking at the gap of these orders of magnitude between the largest bids and the most expensive names, I would guess that the largest bids are made by people who want to reserve them and weren't competed with by squatters, except for at these kinds of amounts, or lower, actually lower than 3,000. So whoever competed with Consensus on their name bid less than 3,000 ETH.
Yeah.
And so probably squatters weren't that successful against big brands with huge budgets.
And interestingly, dark market and open market.eth only had a few bids each. They just happened to be a run-in of 2 or 3 people who were absolutely determined to spend a lot of money to get this name, and they got their wish. So prices and contention rates. Over the entire duration of the launch, we had an average of 35% contention rate for names that are in our pre-image dictionary and 7.2% for those that weren't. For a bit of background, the pre-image dictionary contains the 1 million most popular DNS names from courtesy Alexa as of April, and also an English dictionary. A contention rate here is any name that has more than one bid. So averaged out over the entire period of the launch, if you bid on a name that was in the dictionary, you had about a 35% chance of getting it without, a 35% chance of somebody else also bidding on it. And if you bid on a name that wasn't in the dictionary, you had about a 7% chance of somebody else also bidding on it. But from the graphs here, you can see that while the contention rate for names not in the dictionary stayed more or less constant throughout the entire period, and then dropped off at the end of the soft launch, the contention rate for names that were in the dictionary gradually dropped throughout the entire period. And I would contend that probably this is as a result of people initially being massively excited about snapping up a lot of names and then effectively being bored. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. So the important takeaway here is both that the contention rates are actually relatively low, even for names in the list, and they've got significantly lower since the end of the soft launch.
Just on that one?
Yep.
Another reason for it dropping might just be that people had locked their ether up if they'd succeeded. So
Yes.
that's something to consider, because obviously locking ether up may well be having that impact.
They spent all their money on early names and couldn't afford the later ones. Yeah, that's a reasonable interpretation.
Or the names in the beginning are locked up right away. All of the names that people thought about wanted were locked up right away.
Yeah, but the soft launch means that they weren't all released right away.
Yeah, so names were released at random periods through the whole
That's why you
launch.
get the spikes.
Yeah, so the spikes are interesting. Because this is counting by number of auctions, it's difficult to attribute those to just 1 or 2 names that were suddenly popular, because they would still only show up as a single incident. So those days with spikes, for some reason or another, had a lot of people bidding on contentious names. The median price, again, for names that are and aren't in the dictionary over the entire period covered. If you wanted to buy a name that was in the dictionary, you'd pay an average of 0.05 ether. If you wanted to buy a name that wasn't in the dictionary, you pay an average of 0.02 ether. Again, this has changed a lot and is affected significantly by post the end of the soft launch. In fact, this is probably the most dramatic graph we have, because you can see that pretty much as soon as the soft launch ends, just about every name, including those that are in the dictionary, goes for the absolute minimum, with the occasional spike. This is the median of all auction prices for names that had more than one bid. If we included names that had only one bid, then this graph would just be flat the whole time through. And the
So is this on a daily basis?
Yes. So each data point represents a day, the median auction price for auction started on a given day. Also, interestingly, the median price is highly variable for names that are in the dictionary over the whole launch period. So my contention from the sum of these graphs is that one of the things we should consider here is whether an auction process is still relevant post-launch. Now that the contentious names have been auctioned off, if the majority of auctions are going for the base price and the majority of auctions are uncontested, should we consider a short-term replacement of the auction registrar with a simplified registration process and reserve auctions for when we release shorter names?
Was there a reserve list of names? Sorry, like could someone register Ethereum.eth?
There is no reserve list. The foundation deposited a significant amount of ether to make sure it got Ethereum.eth. However, names shorter than 7 characters are currently prohibited, and part of that is because we expect that a lot of valuable semi-reserved names will be in that shorter list, and we wanted to take time to establish a process to figure out how to hand out those names and potentially set up a few processes before making them available. So the length restriction and how to make those short names available would be another good topic for discussion while we're here. This is another big figure, the amount of ether lost in bids that weren't revealed. The graph at the bottom shows, based on the day that the bid was placed, what proportion of those bids were eventually never redeemed. The headline figure, 8,553 ether, which actually adds up to only 0.3% of the total ether deposited bids over the whole period. The figures at the beginning, as you can see, were quite alarmingly high, spiking as high as 7.5% on day 3-ish, but rapidly dropped off, I would say, due to a combination of things: improvement in UI and communication with users, better user knowledge, more platforms on which they can bid, and better support, especially from the MyEtherWallet folks, in helping people reveal their bids if they're having problems with the DAP and so forth. So while I'm not exactly satisfied with anybody losing their ether, I'm glad that the final figure ended up such a small proportion, and I'm quite satisfied how significantly it dropped after the initial launch period, personally. So ownership distribution, this is the big one about squatting and so forth. There are 8,556 accounts that own at least one ENS name. 123 of those, sorry, the top 123 of those, so that's 1.4%, own half the ENS names. And those 123 accounts paid 34,000 ether, about 20% of the total deposited, in order to buy those 50% of the names. So they paid significantly under the going rate to acquire those names. And histogram here, note the log scale on the left of how many domains each account owns. The vast majority, over 6,000 to 8,000 owners, own between 1 and 5 names. And then there is a rapid drop-off of a very long tail of names that are owned, of accounts owning more and more names, all the way up to about 70,000 names.
So what's the x-axis?
The x-axis is number of names owned by an account, and the y-axis is number of accounts that own that group of names.
Okay.
So
is there kind of ranges, like 1 to 10, 11 to 20?
1 to 5, 5 to 11, 11 to 16, 16 to 20, and so forth. There's a mark for every 2 bars because of space.
Okay.
I recognise it's not the correct.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But if
and this is one guy with the 17.
Yes, one person had. Sorry, yeah, 100 accounts. 100 accounts have between 221 and 17,000 names.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's the representation of a long tail.
Out of curiosity, who's that person?
I don't know. Maybe
we're not the 17,000.
Okay.
We're not the number one, but we're at the top.
So you're somewhere off the right side of the square.
Yeah.
But
So,
not the
just out of curiosity, what motivated you to buy so many names?
As an investment, mostly. Yeah, as an investment.
I'm going to put a pin in that for later because, yeah.
Just curious.
A bit about client adoption. Currently, we have support for ENS resolution in Metamask, MyEtherWallet, EtherScan, Leth, Status, Mist, Bitfinex, and Swarm. And coming support soon promised by Status. Sorry, did I say Status on the previous slide? I knew I had to screw this up. What was I supposed to say? Oh, Token, sorry. Coming support in Status, Kraken, hopefully, Shapeshift, and District OX. I really should have put text under these. And that's pretty much it for my lightning summary of the state of the ENS. We've got a couple, so for the agenda, we have a couple more talks about, so MyEtherWallet are giving a short talk on their experiences with the ENS launch and ENS in general. Metamask are giving a short talk on their experiences with ENS and the launch. And then the following time between 11 and lunchtime, or whatever time we have left, is scheduled to discuss sort of consequences of the launch, how things could have gone better, what we should think about in the future, and how this should affect future design decisions. After that, we've got lunch from 12 to 1, and then pretty much the whole afternoon for discussing dispute resolution, both because I figure we're going to need at least that long. Both, what sort of dispute resolution, if any, should we have? How should it work from a sort of a social and organisational point of view? And assuming we can come to any sort of agreement on that, how should this actually play out in a technical front, and how can we, what sort of avenues can we see to build a technical architecture for handling dispute resolution. Finally, 5 to 5:30 session planning for Saturday. I'm trying to keep the schedule for the workshop reasonably open. It's very much a discussion venue rather than a venue for lectures and so on. So I would like to solicit feedback from people explicitly at the end of the day about what they would most like to see discussed tomorrow. We have a bunch of potential both talks and workshops lined up, but I think it will be valuable to prioritise them based on what we've discussed in the day, what we feel was under-addressed, and what we think the most important outstanding things are. So we've scheduled half an hour at the end of the day for that. And then finally, from 6 o'clock onwards, you're all invited to the, or at least if you RSVP'd, you're all invited to the Temple Brew House, which is about 2 blocks away, for a social event. As mentioned before, Aragon have kindly agreed to provide some level of alcoholic beverages and some food for everyone. And it's a general sort of open social event for anyone who RSVP'd outside this workshop to come meet people and chat about ENS and other Ethereum topics. So that's it for me. Thank you again for coming, and let's get started.
Thank you.